we got together with Red Bull and Coffee with Morbid Justice, and we reached out to Arctic Fox True Crimes, and we got permission to go through his channel and cherry pick some of these videos. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this guy's content is awesome, and as far as the crime niche is concerned, I don't think he gets as much credit as he deserves as far as his ambition and the consistency of his content. So without further ado, let me bring on my guests. We have Red Bull and Coffee. Let me unmute. How are you ladies doing today?
I am
Hey,
great.
I
Right
am
on.
good. I'm gonna mute myself and I will be right back, you guys.
No, you're good. So today I wanted to go over Arctic Fox's channel and some of his content that he has on there. Let me go ahead and share this right now. But we had talked about trying to go over his content in the past, and we just could never hook up, to get it all situated
Right.
and everything else. But now that we're all together, I think this would be a good opportunity for us to kind of critique some of the stuff that he has on here.
Absolutely, because he puts out a lot of content. He puts out a lot of content.
Absolutely. So Arctic Fox True Crime, this is his channel. I'm already a subscriber to this channel, so make sure you guys subscribe on here, get all your notifications, all the bells and icons when he uploads. Now, he does upload on a regular basis, sometimes multiple times a day, but his content, the reason why he does it is because his content is shorter than the normal content creator, because he's giving out quick information and trying to move on to the next, the next victim or the next missing persons. Now, one thing that I will say before we get into this, that I was not aware that there were more than just Amber Alerts. I'm understanding now they have an ebony alert for Black kids missing, a silver alert for like elderly people missing and stuff like that. So I didn't know that they actually categorized the missing persons by race and by gender, or race and age or whatever. So what are your guys' thoughts about that? You think it should just be one Amber Alert, or do you think they should categorize them?
It should be like that, but unfortunately, we see more of what's a good example? Like Kylie Rodney. Was that her name? Kylie Rodney?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, like we see more cases like her, like white, blue eye, blonde hair, those kind of cases. Arctic, he posts everything like it should be. He
Exactly.
posts
Exactly.
black,
So
Well,
age.
he was talking about the different alerts,
yeah,
and
so you hit it right on point, Red Bull. Like I said, with the Amber Alerts, it seems now it's getting politicized to where they're trying to categorize it off of race and age, so you can decide on how important the missing persons is. At least that's how I viewed it. I'm like, well, if we start dividing them into races, and we start having an ebony alert versus an Amber Alert, how serious are they going to take the Amber Alerts over the ebony alerts?
yeah, I didn't know there was an ebony alert, the senior alert, the silver alert. I do think that there's a reason for the separation,
Mhm.
and like the elderly, you're looking for a little different situation. Not so much that they might have been trafficked or kidnapped or ran away, but more that they could be mentally not knowing where they're at or what they're doing.
Yeah, dementia, something to that
Yeah.
effect, wander away. Yeah, we get that a lot out here in the valley. Unfortunately, we also see a number of deaths because we are in the desert. And so sometimes these people, it's not like they get harmed by other people. They just walk out into the desert, or they
Into
walk
the
out into
desert.
the area,
Yep.
and they just get discombobulated, especially at night, and the temperature,
Hmm.
people don't realize that just because they're in the desert, it gets cold at night, and especially somebody who's really thin skinned and elderly. I
Right.
mean, that could be death.
And it wouldn't take that long.
Not at all. And not to mention the wildlife, because we have rampant coyotes out here, stray dogs, and I don't know if we have the wild pigs But I would imagine that if they're out there, you know what I mean, they're not standing that close to town. But if they're
Right.
out there, you know, that would be something to contend with too. Although I've never seen a wild pig in Arizona.
But to me, that's sort of why I think that it's important that, you do have some sort of idea, if it's just an Amber Alert, like I said, you might not be looking for a child that's wandered off into the desert, but an elderly person who's in dementia or whatever, you know, um, more of a chance that they could have wandered off.
Amen. Well, with that being said, let's just pick one of these at random and see what we got in store here, because these are all about 2 to 4 minutes long. So I'm just going to randomly pick this one right here.
What is going on, guys? This is Arctic Fox. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are looking at the missing persons case of 38-year-old James Ray, who is missing out of Linden, Tennessee. James is 5'7" tall and weighs 165 pounds with brown hair and hazel green eyes. The Perry County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help in locating the missing man. James was last seen at around 11 a.m. on the 6th of February 2024 near Fat Man's Market in Linden, Tennessee. His car reportedly struck a guardrail and he was picked up by a passerby and given a ride to the gas station. He appeared dazed and confused in a security video as he walked away from the station and entered the woods. James's personal belongings were left in the abandoned vehicle, including his glasses that he desperately needs. James was wearing a black and brown hat, a black shirt underneath that has his company logo on the back, a dark gray pullover, blue jeans, and Puma black tennis shoes. He has flame tattoos on his forearms. James's family and friends are very concerned for his safety and his well-being. Anyone with information on James or his whereabouts is asked to contact the Perry County Sheriff's Office at 931-589-3911. Guys, do me a big favor. Give the video a like. It does help more people to see James's face. And the more people that see him, the better the chances are that we can find him and bring him home safe. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, consider clicking that subscribe button. It really does help the channel out. And if you ring that notification bell, you'll always be alerted whenever I post another missing persons video. But the most important thing that I need for everyone to do right now is to simply click that share button, guys. Share this to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, wherever you have social media. It only takes 1 second of your time to do, and it can make all the difference in the world in whether we're able to find James and bring him home safe or not.
Now, again, shout out to Arctic Fox for these videos, because I have not, I've been through YouTube and Facebook looking for content creators that do similar work like this. I haven't seen anybody dedicated to missing persons reports just consistently on their channel.
No, Arctic is, as far as I know, one of the only ones.
And kudos. Like I said, I don't think he gets enough credit for this.
He doesn't. It's so sad how many people, it takes a second to like and share. That's the most important thing out of all of this. You have to share to,
He has had lots of success stories with this. Like, he has absolutely had families reach out to him and say, you helped find my loved one.
So I wonder if I know we talked to Arctic earlier this morning. I wonder if we can get him. Arctic, if you're listening, which you probably are, because we told you we were going to go live with your stuff. If you can. Well, oh yeah, that's right. He said he had a doctor's appointment. If he does watch us on the rewind, or if we do talk to him afterwards, we need to get with him. We need to get with him so he can give us a list of his successful finds. So that way we can kind of compare them and show which videos, you know what I mean, and do like a update on, where his work has played out and has had success, and we can show which videos he's actually contributed in finding some of these people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get with him after the fact. But as far as like this, like I said, this man posts like batches during the day. He'll post periodically during the day because he's covering missing persons reports all over the United States. And what's crazy is I pulled up the stats in regards to the U.S. and I put them on the video description, but it says here, in the United States, the issue of a missing persons is both significant and heartbreaking. Here are some of the key facts. Annual missing persons estimate. The National Missing and Undefined Persons Database, funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, estimates that more than 600,000 people go missing annually. Approximately 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered each year. Nationwide, there are roughly 6.5 missing persons for every 100,000 people. That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. It is a lot of people. And that's why he keeps his videos so short. He wants just to get their faces out there.
I do want to
Yeah.
say something else, but hold on. Arctic said finding Timmy D's remains was definitely one of them. The Nikki Rule case was another. There's been a fewer runaways return home after seeing their videos. So he's giving us a list in the comments.
I'm
You
looking
guys,
at I'm going to bring up the Timmy D's video. I got it right here. When you're done talking, we'll look at it.
I do want to let everybody know, Arctic, and this isn't, just because you're monetized, it doesn't make you this person. Arctic is not monetized. He does this, just because he's very passionate and he really does care. This is the kind of channel that if you guys are going to want to follow true crime, please support, go subscribe. He does this, like I said, because he cares. It's very important to get these people out there.
And the reason why I want to work with Arctic Fox too is the fact that this type of channel is the type of channel that needs to be monetized, point blank. I mean, this is the reason why
He can
YouTube
be.
was set up.
He just,
He chooses not to.
Yep.
Oh,
And
you mean to
simply,
tell me he can be monetized? They just won't. He just doesn't want to be.
Nope. And that tells you a lot right there too. I mean, like I said, it doesn't, you're not a bad person if you're monetized, but him being able to be monetized and not choosing to, that, a lot of respect for you.
That does
So,
say a lot about what he's doing as far as the craft is concerned. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's. Oh, so he is on. I'm showing here in the comments. Arctic. Hey, what's up, Arctic? He's listening while he's working. Good shit. Let's see, Miss Kimmy, you're on here. Good morning. And it's just us. And Arctic says, finding Timmy D's remains is definitely one of them. Okay, this is what you just read. So with that being said, let's look at these Timmy D's videos that he is talking about. Let's pull up this first one. And this is the one that he had success with.
What is going on, YouTube? This is Arctic Fox. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to come on here real quick. As many of you know, I've been covering the case of missing Timmy D's out of Fredericktown, Missouri, extensively since March of this year. I've been in contact with Timmy's mom, and she has become more than just the mother of Timmy, more than just a friend. She's become part of my family. And I wanted to come on because we did get news today, and then we've got confirmation that Timmy was found. And unfortunately, it's not the outcome that we were hoping for, but at least Timmy can finally be laid to rest properly and respectfully next to his brother. There's not a lot of details as far as cause of death. Um, Foul play is certainly still suspected by the family and by anyone that's been following this case. Timmy's phone was missing off of his body when he was found. Um, I will certainly be providing updates on this case as they come forward. As far as the cause of death and fighting to get justice for Timmy and his family. I want to sincerely express my gratitude for all of you who have shared Timmy's story, who got his face out there, that helped to light a fire under law enforcement in the Fredericktown area to help find this young man. It just goes to show that when we pull together and work as a team and work as a community, we can make a difference.
Yeah, so I pulled up Timmy D's article here, as far as, let's see, show. Come on, you can do it. Why isn't it sharing it? Come on.
You can hear the emotion in Arctic's
When he
voice.
talks,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is why I have the utmost respect for him. He is a man of integrity.
And like I reached out to you, Norman, for a certain reason because I knew that I could see your passion and a lot of other stuff that I've said. Like when I first saw Arctic, I think it was 2 years ago, I reached out to him and I was just like, we have to, collab and this is when we were like really small and he was willing to, he's always been so passionate. You can hear that in his voice. And for the cases, and even off of YouTube, you guys, if you knew him personally, like he definitely shows so much emotion. I know he gets frustrated a lot of the times because people don't cover these cases. All these cases should be covered.
So I'm trying to share this page. There it goes. Come on, there it is. So this is the story that he's talking about, and it's crazy. It's because there's so many missing persons reports and crime stories that all of us in the niche cover that we don't get to see everything. So this morning, I think when we were talking, he did bring this up, and then he said, "Where have you been? Under a rock? You don't know this story?" And I'm like, I felt kind of guilty. I was like, "No, I don't know this one," but
No, that was a Sebastian story.
yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, so I know he's got his pulse on this section of the crime niche more than I do because I'm all into everywhere else as far as my content. But what I wanted to do was tag team with him so we can follow up on a lot of his story because he's got a lot of great content in here. And this thing is like bugged out, but it says here, Barbara Hall says she only has 2 days to figure out what caused her son's death in Madison County in February. Hall is the mother of Timothy Dees, a 26-year-old who went missing in February in Madison County, Missouri. His body was found 5 months later in July. Now Hall says her son is going to be buried on Wednesday, even though the results of the autopsy have not been released. So he is all on these stories, and unfortunately, okay. Hall made herself a fixture in front of the Fredericktown courthouse and placed signs all around the small city town downtown. Her presence was both a protest and a vigil. She hoped to keep her son in the minds of the local residents and law enforcement. She organized searches around the alleged drug house and Village Creek Drive in Fredericktown, where a 911 call was made from Dee's phone on the night of his disappearance. After the RTF talked to Hall in May, she'd come to grips with the reality that her son was almost certainly dead. She just wanted a body found to know how he died. On July 21st, nearly 5 months after his disappearance, researchers finally recovered his body in a dry creek bed only 200 yards away from the house on Village Creek Drive. Hall says her son was found without his phone or his shoes, which she finds alarming. She says the fact that he didn't stop and put his shoes on before leaving the house means that someone was chasing him. The 911 call made from Dee's phone was received by Madison County Sheriff's Department dispatch around 4:40 a.m. According to the dispatcher, a frantic voice on the other end said, quote, "Someone is chasing me," end quote. But since the call wasn't recorded, no one knows for sure if the voice belonged to Dee's or if someone else was calling from his phone. Hall is also convinced her son's phone is out there waiting to be found. Quote, if we find the phone will tell us a lot, end quote, she says. Hall says an autopsy was performed, but results from it was not to be released, or has not been released. It's not clear if the autopsy was done by a coroner in Madison County or with a medical examiner in nearby jurisdiction. The Madison County coroner was not in the office where the RFT called. Despite subsequent calls to the Missouri Highway Patrol and St. Louis Francis County medical examiner and the St. Louis County medical examiners of RFT was unable to determine if the autopsy had been completed or if any results from it have been released. Hall, who has been distrustful of law enforcement's investigation into her son's death since its early days, is raising money for a private pathologist to perform an independent examination. But the clock is ticking. The funeral home that has possession of Dee's body says they are going to perform the burial this Wednesday at Dee's father's behest. Hall says that Dee's father believes burying their son will allow Timothy and their family to be at peace. He's quote, he's not at peace if we don't have answers for him, end quote, Hall says. The funeral home tells RTF, which is this news article, they cannot comment on a private matter. Quote, the funeral director is going to call me Wednesday, end quote, Hall says. Quote, after, and if I don't have the money to get another autopsy done, he's going to release Timmy's body to his dad, end quote.
Thomas actually helped with a GoFundMe to raise $5,000 to get that done.
Nice. So what was the determination of his death? How did he die?
They were trying, that's where all this other stuff comes in. Arctic, if you are in the chat still.
Let me jump in and see what he says. Yeah, he says, yeah, we did the GoFundMe to raise the 5K, so she did get it. Timmy and the second autopsy. Okay. So hopefully we find out. Well, what I'll do is I'll follow. This will be the one I'll put on my list as far as like a deep, a follow-up.
Yes.
And I think this will be the one that I spend the rest of well, Leah has a half day today, so I got to go pick her up at noon. But after I pick her up, I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon doing a deep dive on this one. And I'm going to kind of back up Arctic Fox on this story so we can find out the outcome or the update on what's going on to see if anybody was arrested or if they have any suspects, so on and so forth. And if we could set it up to where if we can get the mother on here as far as Barbara Hall, if she can come on here, we could even podcast with her and Arctic Fox, you know what I mean, and get both of their takes, on the story and see if we can get the community involved as far as like sleuthing and investigation on their own.
Yeah, she's a very nice lady too. Arctic does have a few interviews with her as well, so I'm pretty sure, they can make that happen.
That's what's up. Takes a village.
Oh, Arctic said to ping his phone or do digital forensics of any kind, both autopsies inconclusive, but his permanent retainer and one of his teeth were missing.
Wow. So more than likely, it was definitely foul play, like the mother is.
It's February. He runs out of, it's February. He's not got his shoes on. There's a 911 call from his phone.
Phone is missing, no recording.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I'm going to ask questions about is why wasn't the 911 call recorded? Why the fuck do we have 911 if the calls aren't recorded?
What's
going on with our tax dollars in that county that they're not able to record 911 calls?
Yeah. I've never heard that before, that they've never been recorded.
I thought the whole point of 911 was to get evidence of a crime and commission. That's what the 911 is for, because we use 911 calls and evidence all the time.
Arctic wants a link.
Oh, drop a link.
To what? I'm sorry, what I'm going to drop a link to where to send the information?
So he can come up.
To what?
He wants to come up.
Oh, he wants to come on. Oh, hold on. Let me send him the invite.
That link.
And tell him I'm going to send it in our conversation. Well, Arctic, I'm going to send it in our conversation that we had this morning. Let me get on here.
But it sounds like was there corruption? Did they erase it? Like what? Something was going on.
Well, this
Because
is where I like to get involved, because if we find out that if the person that committed the crime was related to law enforcement at all, that smells like cover up all day.
exactly. Oh,
All right, Arctic, on the thread when we were all talking, I just sent the link to you if you want to jump on. But yeah, as far as his content, I really want to get with. I think we're going to end up becoming BFFs for the next couple of months, because I do want to comb through his content and expound on all of his successes and all of the ones that are turning into cold cases, or or well, his is pretty new. His won't be cold cases because this is all within the same year. But even with his older content, I do want to dig into those to see if we can shine some light on those and either bring closure or bring some kind of hope, to the family, so we can start getting, start
Right, because I'm
turning up
sure
the
that there's a
leads.
lot of these.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because I'm pretty sure somebody's going to see one of these videos and be like, "Yo, I know about that," or "I know some," or "I heard something," and all it takes is somebody to hear something.
yeah, y'all need to share. Everybody that's watching, please share. Like it takes 1 second, and that kind of helps us. Like I'm glad that you're doing it. You have a bigger, you know, subscribe count, whatever. Uh, we were gonna do it because we're like, these need to be out there more. There needs to be more awareness. Da da da. We just never got to it. So I'm glad that you, Norman, are the one to be like, let's do this.
Well,
Your
you know
platform.
me. You know me. I'm like, no, we got it. It doesn't. I'm the reason why I think I'm successful is because I'm self motivated. I mean, I don't need. I'm single for a reason. It seems
Yeah.
like I function better alone, because when I do have a partner, like a significant other, it seems like
Mhm.
I'm the motivator. They never motivate me. You know what I mean? Which is sounds kind of narcissistic, but I'm just like, yo, you're holding me back. Get the fuck up. We gotta go. We gotta go. You know what I mean? So it's just
Confirm that.
easier for me to be alone and single, because I'm a one man wrecking ball anyway. And I don't need somebody else to fuck up my shit. I can fuck up my shit on my own. So, you know.
Yeah. You definitely motivated me a lot. Like even though I'm still, but your voice is always in my head. Like, come on, you gotta, you gotta do this. Let's go. Stop talking.
So with that being said, we do have Arctic Fox True Crime
Hey,
on here. What's going on, Arctic?
Hey, thanks for having me.
if
So I want y'all to check this. I want y'all to check this out. So Timmy goes missing on the 28th of February. Okay, on the 1st of March, there's a check-in from Timmy's Facebook account from Fredericktown, Missouri. 2 days later, that check-in gets gets deleted from his Facebook account. Now, law enforcement has yet to do any type of forensics analysis on his phone, devices, anything like that, and they haven't ever tried to ping the phone to find it. They're saying that Timmy's phone washed away in that dry creek bed that he was found
and they couldn't find it, or it wasn't true. Somebody had it.
I
Somebody
was
was
gonna
trying to.
say that how did
in.
they
Well,
know that
someone had to have had
definitively?
some way. Someone had to have had some way to use his Facebook account to do a check-in.
Exactly. So it sounds to corruption. It sounds
Well, the thing is, if somebody did access his
crazy.
Facebook page with that phone after his death, that IP address can still be pinged from the last known location.
Well, that's great, but the problem, Norman, is law enforcement's not doing anything to try to investigate whether it's foul play or not. What their story is that Timmy got high, he ran into the area that he was found in, succumbed to the elements after passing out. That's what their story is.
Arctic,
With no
can I
shoes,
ask?
Go ahead.
with
Can
no
I
shoes
ask a
on.
question?
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
What was his drug of choice? Do you know?
According to his mother, the only thing Timmy ever did really was smoke a little weed here and there, which I think we're all guilty of. And
Right.
he may have been using some Xanax to self-medicate because he had just recently lost his brother the year or two before.
Well,
Okay.
it doesn't, that's not, you know, oh
So
yeah, he
not
has.
really anything that would make him be hallucinating or
No. And then you take the 911 call. There are several excuses that law enforcement gave for why that wasn't recorded. First, it was that the system got struck by lightning, and that's why it wasn't recorded. Then it was they didn't have the funds to record 911 calls, and that's why it wasn't recorded. So
wow.
you can't believe anything that law enforcement has put out or said about this case whatsoever when they're not making any effort to try to figure out if it was foul play or not. We're talking about a town where people's suicides, they're ruled suicides, they get overturned after
The
independent
perfect one for
autopsies.
Norman.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's
The perfect one for Norman. Here come the background checks. Here comes calling the corrupt.
My wheels are already turning. I'm like, okay, who do I attack first? Do I go at the angle of law enforcement and try to, light a fire under their ass and get the interview out of them first? Or because I know they're not gonna volunteer information, but what I can do is if we can get together with the mother, and if the mother hasn't already done it, it will save us some time. But if we can get the FOIA request that's available now, we could start.
Barbara has all kinds of records, and she'll come on anyone that asks her to. I'll reach out to her here in a couple of days and see if she'll come up because I'm sure she will. She'll go on any podcast to get Timmy's story out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, tell her that if she can send the information so we could look over, so I could look over it too, because I'm not the only one that looks over the information. I have an online team, as you already know, Arctic. I have other people that I can sort with, but I would like to get a copy of it. So
I will let her know that. I don't know how much she'll be willing to send over because she's so afraid if she puts some of the information that she knows out that law enforcement will just build even more walls up in her way. I mean, you do not understand how corrupt law enforcement is in Fredericktown and in Madison County in general in particular. You've got the fact that the assistant coroner is also the sheriff there for Madison County.
So what I want to do is I want to get the information that we can find, even if we can get a hold of some of his old friends, you know what I mean, that are willing to talk, or if she knows anything. That way we could start doing our own investigation where the police won't. And with our own investigation and sleuthing, we can start asking the most important questions that law enforcement is not either willing to ask or willing to investigate, because it sounds like they know what's going on, and possibly the fact that he's the sheriff and the coroner raises red flags to me, because that tells me that they may have investigated and found out that either one of their own is involved or a relative of one of their own is involved, and that's why they want to bury this.
Arctic.
We have a pretty good idea who's responsible for Timmy's death, and it was his friend Caleb Nanny that was with him that night. The problem is that Caleb's heavy into drugs. There's a guy named James Wade that ties into a bunch of these cases in Fredericktown that's heavy into drugs and is also a white supremacist. And
this is getting lovely. This is just up my alley.
all these drug dealers and stuff, in my opinion, are in the back pockets of law enforcement. That's why we have these issues. And then when they brought the dogs out, for instance, the dogs hit in between two buildings. The family had to bring their own dogs out, by the way, because law enforcement wouldn't do that. But they hit between two storage units in the storage building complex. The family was allowed to search one, but not the other, because it supposedly belonged to a law enforcement officer. And then when they said that the reason they tried to say the reason why the dogs were hitting there is because of a dead mouse or something. Now, I can tell you, I've been doing this for a long ass fucking time, and dogs do not hit on a dead mouse and mistake that for the scent of decomp of a human being.
Hey, that's where
There's a
Harry.
big, you're absolutely right. There's a big difference between the odor of different species because of the pheromones and because of the amount of food that we ingest. Mice don't take in the carcinogens or the MSG or the fats or the preservatives that human beings take in when a body decomposes. So when law enforcement tries to tell you that their dog cannot smell a human versus any other type of animal on the planet, that is a fucking lie. Humans have a distinct smell when it comes to like dogs. That's why they use cadaver dogs to find human bodies, because
Yeah.
they know human diets are different from any other fucking animal on the planet. That's crazy that they lie to your face
Exactly.
like that.
And that's something Arctic
Yeah.
that we could talk to Harry Oakes about too. Maybe get him,
Yeah.
you know, in on it.
I wonder if we
Yeah,
can
like I
also get I wonder if we can also get some of the locals that want to help out with us to actually walk around with a camera and show us the path. You know what I mean? And give us the
Well, I'll tell you
land.
what we can. I'll tell you what we can probably do, and because there are so many cases like this in Fredericktown, I can probably reach out to Barbara this weekend, have her get in contact with Durante Martin's mother and grandmother. That's another case of someone that his suicide got overturned and ruled foul play. And I'll reach out to them and see if we can get them all up on panel, because, like I said, the corruption is real in that town. There's several cases that just don't make a lick of fucking sense.
And no news outlets will really call this out. Like I know that you guys have probably reached out, but is there other places that you haven't we could reach out to that would be willing to cover this?
Well,
Like this.
I can reach out to KMOV and these other local news stations and see if I can get any follow up. I'm gonna get more. I'm trying to get a little bit more bigger because I'm trying to go after once I get a staff. I'm trying to move into my new place and get some extra money because I got to get my Associated Press pass sooner than later. Once I get the Associated Press pass, I won't have to go through any red tape because I already have the credentials. But right now, as a sleuth, I can call and see if they'll volunteer some information, and I'll have to rub some elbows and tell them, I'll give you a shout out and all that, kind of like how content creators do. But I've seen it in the past, working with other content creators similar to this, where if we use the news article and we rub the news corporation the right way, they'll actually give us more information than they were able to release because their reputation was involved and they couldn't release that information. So sometimes they'll give us information that they didn't show.
Yeah, I mean, here the problem is that no one was even covering Timmy's case. She couldn't get the press to touch the case. She couldn't get YouTubers to touch the case. I was the first person that put Timmy's case out there to the public. And then we finally got some people jumping on the case and questioning all this stuff that was happening, which, again, goes to show that if these creators would work together instead of putting conspiracy theories out there all over social media, blaming parents for shit when there's nothing to back that shit up, and, trying to dox each other and this and that, creators would work together, say like what we're doing here and like what I do with a couple of other creators, you'd be amazed how many people we could bring home. How many of these
Yep.
cases would actually get the attention that they deserve?
Just
And not only
focusing
that,
on the person.
And not only that, the reputation of us as sleuths and content creators in this niche, because I've noticed that too in the last 3 years since COVID, that we have a lot of fucking wannabe fucking sleuths and, that are not real content creators, that are not dedicated to actually helping people above themselves, and they just want the clicks. So they're doing all this pervish bullshit, content that has nothing to do with
Clickbait.
crimes or cheating people or protecting others from being cheated or harmed or scammed or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just people are just out there like, trying to throw out that emotional content that doesn't help anybody.
It doesn't. Everybody,
Yeah,
if they
I mean,
if they
that's
focus
that's the reason why that's the
Sorry,
reason
go
why
ahead.
you have creators like us, that our lives and our videos might, 100, 200, 300. Justin for All, and so many others, JLR, they're out there turning these cases into fucking shit shows, and their videos get hundreds of thousands of views. Because it's not for them. It's not about bringing these people home. That's not what it's about. You think JLR gives one single fucking shit about whether Sebastian Rogers is found safe or not? No, he's out there to line his pocketbooks. They're out there
Yep.
chasing the most salacious stories and the most salacious interviews that they can get their hands on. They don't give a shit about these kids. Don't let anyone fucking fool you.
And that, yeah, that's the only reason they go with the whole, what everybody else is going with. Oh, it was the parents. Oh, because that gets most views, but it's not right. It's not. That doesn't help the victim at all. It makes me
Well,
so
it's all
angry.
about drama. The more
Well-
drama, the more they want,
Well,
and
drama
And we-
sells. Don't get me wrong. Drama does sell. You're absolutely right, Coffee. It seems like that's all they want are the clicks. But
yeah,
there's an artful way to do it. Like Arctic is saying, if the police are corrupt, that's where the emotional outcry should be, not on
Yes.
whether the kid did what drugs he did, or or what was the ambition behind everything. It should be that law enforcement, who we pay tax dollars to, is not taking this serious for whatever reason. And if they are not investigating it because they have evidence that it was an actual suicide, then that evidence needs to be presented so that everybody can put this to rest. Because if not, it just leaves a bad taste in the back of everybody's head or in their mouth when it comes to law enforcement in Madison County.
And I
All
also,
right, exactly.
I don't know, correct me if I am wrong, but I also feel towns like to cover up, like cover their own asses, cover up, like they don't want people to be scared of their town, so they're trying to save face, and it's not okay at all, Like, let's
Well,
just mark
that-
suicide, and it's really not.
That's certainly something that does happen. The biggest issue that I have seen in as far as law enforcement is concerned is when these kids and these adults go missing. In the adult cases, they say, well, they're an adult, they can do whatever they want, and they don't even try to put any real effort forth in trying to find the missing adult. In the kids' cases, if they happen to be over the age of 10, well, fuck, they're a runaway, and they don't get an Amber Alert, they don't get anything. And so that's the issue that I have with law enforcement is, I had a case out of Ohio that I was covering. The mother knew exactly who took her kid, knew where the kid was at. When the mother went to the neighborhood to start searching for her son, shouting his name out, she got arrested for disturbing the peace.
how sad.
Well, in that case, I mean, I could understand both sides of the story, because if I was a neighbor and I was working neighborhood and I didn't know what was going on and somebody was just yelling in the neighborhood, that would be, a big distraction, because, you're kind of calling attention in a negative way. You know what I mean?
Well,
because the reason why law enforcement doesn't take a task force of ICE agents and go into every neighborhood when there's a crime is because they know that if they present themselves in a certain way, the people will scatter and nobody will give up any information. So you have to be really subtle on how you gather information.
Well, here's the situation, though. The mother basically gave them where her child was on a golden platter. And in fact, when they finally did go in there, because the child was ultimately found, but when they went in there the first time to look for him, after such a rush, after she put up such a ruckus, because they wouldn't go look. That's why she went out there and did what she did. I mean, that's the problem. And no one's asking for them to bring a whole ICE task force out there, but just check the fucking house out and look for the goddamn kid when you've got the mother telling you where the damn child is, and that this couple has a history of trying to groom your damn child. So go out there and look for him where the mother says he's likely at.
So they didn't do a wellness check?
They did not do anything until we started airing their dirty laundry out all over YouTube, and that's when they finally decided to go try to look for this kid. And he was hiding when they went to do the first search. He had hid between the mattress and box springs at the house in one of the bedrooms, and law enforcement completely missed him. And then he later was found at that
in the same
residence
house
where the mother had said he was all along. So
this was in the same house.
yes, this was.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this kid had been groomed and formed a relationship with this couple. Okay, and he had run away to their house several times before. So the mother's telling law enforcement, hey, Austin's over here at this house. I know he is because that's where he's always run off to. That's where he's found every single time. So they would not go over there and search. They weren't doing anything to try to find this kid. And keep in mind, this kid's autistic as well, by the way. And they don't even have any type of silver alert or endangered missing child alert or anything out for this kid. And so they didn't go over there. We did 2 or 3 lives on my channel, I think, regarding him being missing. And they finally decided to go look. They look and they missed the kid. He's right there between a mattress and box springs. I think it's like 2 or 3 days later they find him, and he was at that house the entire time. Number one, why are you not going to put any type of endangered child alert or anything out for a missing autistic child, especially when you know that he's got a history of running off to this same residence with a couple that has been spending years grooming him? That was my issue.
So which story is this on your channel? Which
that child's name was Austin Lauer.
Okay, and then as far as the information, do you or the family have already the FOIA request showing the police reports and with the timeline and everything what you're saying, so that way we can I can present it with B-roll?
Well, I mean, we didn't do FOIA requests and all that. Look, the situation is what it is. The mother's been on my channel. She's talked about it. She's been on other channels talking about the situation. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken now, I cover a lot of cases. I may be wrong. I think I was live on another case when we got the news that Austin had been found at that couple's residence. Now, they got a slap on the wrist. I think they got like probation is what they got for harboring Austin during the time that he was missing. That's all I got. I mean,
so I bet you if we can get the police report and find out exactly who these people are, we could probably do a background check on them. I could do a background check on my system and then pitch it off to my team, because I got high friends in low places, and and low friends in high places. So I can pitch off the information to them and see what they can come back with a background check. And we'll check DMV, we'll check Nexus Lexus, we'll check everything that that we have. And if we find that they have a history even in another state, that's something that we can expose, and possible new charges be brought up on them, what I mean, as far as grooming, and that way we can get these people registered so other families know that you have predators in your area.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk to Sandra, Austin's mom, and see if she's interested in doing that. I don't know if she will be, because she's just happy that she has her child back now. So
yeah, but I definitely respect that. But my whole thing is that just because you get your kid back, and this is just my perception of it, just because you get your kid back doesn't mean it can't happen again, or it ain't going to happen to another kid. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like even if like with me in family court, like with my kids, even though I got full custody, the battle is never over until these kids are grown and their mother is dead. You know what I mean? There's always going to be some kind of strife or whatever. So I just never give up. I'm like always for the best interest of the kids. Even if they were like 28 years old, I'm like, you might want to think twice before taking advice. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be their father. So my whole thing is as a parent, when I see other parents going through, crime with their kids like that, where they have to, go against law enforcement or CPS or stuff like that, I'm like, you're not alone. And just because you get your kids back doesn't, and you got away from being a victim in any deep capacity, doesn't mean that you can't prevent it from happening to somebody else.
Well, even if she didn't want to be involved, we could also still go about getting the FOIA requests, and we could do something ourselves just to.
Well, I just want the information. That way, whatever public information we have, we can sleuth off of that, and we can put these people on blast. I'm not necessarily talking about doxing them, but if they're already in a public records on police reports saying this, that, and the third, if it's public records, we can show the address because it's on public records. If there was a news article done, and let's say the news crew happened to go out there and did a one-off hit piece on them, and they showed the address in the background, we can show that on our channels.
Yeah, and this is what people need to start doing more of, because if it's there's very few creators that really care, like we said. And if we all came together, just imagine, we could make a difference. We can make a change.
With all of that being said, I just want to draw attention that Norman has been scrolling during this entire conversation at a nice even pace, and he's still scrolling. That's how much content Arctic has. Guys, really, you need to go check him out.
And
Yeah.
we're only on month 2 on this. This is only
It-
down to month 2. It's still scrolling.
Checking.
That's what I said.
Rest in peace to Checking. She used to call him Lightning because he would get videos out like 30, 40 times a day, and that was his nickname, Lightning.
Well, that's how I knew Arctic Fox, is because before even you guys brought me to his attention, he was already on my feed from being in the crime niche.
And you
So
told me
whenever I
that.
would, so yeah, he would always pop up on my shit, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? Is always missing persons. And then when you guys brought him to my attention, in detail, I was like, oh, I know who he is. I already know. Yeah, I'm a fan of his. I love what he does.
Yeah. You guys go subscribe. It really takes a village. It takes more than a village. Share the videos, like the videos, help, even comment. It doesn't matter what you comment, but that helps get it into the algorithm, and you could help save somebody.
Amen. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah,
tap out
quite
myself.
honestly, I just,
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't care if you like the video, unlike the video, because look, quite honestly, we don't like missing kids to begin with. Sometimes it's hard to like a video about a missing kid, but whatever you do, react to it, comment on it, because it does help the algorithm. It helps more people to see that child is missing, and take 1 second out of your day to just click share it to your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever
Even if it's
got
not
social
in
media,
your
because
area.
that's what's going to bring the child home.
I want to
Exactly.
say
With the trafficking problem we have today,
Arctic can't share a lot.
with the trafficking problem we have today, it only takes.
Sorry, go ahead. Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Arctic, say it one more time.
Well, with the trafficking problem that we have today, it only takes an hour for that kid to be the next state over, especially if there's any type of highway system or everything or anything like that.
An artery.
So many
Yep.
of these kids are found hours and hours away. So that's why I
Right.
think Amber Alerts need to be national anyway. I don't think it should just go out to your local area. I think the Amber Alerts need to be broadcast national to every phone in the country with the trafficking problem that we have today as it stands. And that would help bring a lot more of these kids home too. And we need to reform the entire Amber Alert system so that every missing kid under the age of 18 gets an Amber Alert, not a select few. So
I agree with that. I agree with that. But again, with notifications nationwide, there's going to be a lot of unnecessary people getting buzzed. You know what I mean? It'll be like it'll turn into like robocalls where people are just tired of getting Amber Alerts because they're so frequent. So
Well, then have a national database where we could go and look.
That I agree.
um,
That I agree. There should be a notification. I think that it should be regional to start off with, and then as the investigation goes, it expounds out. Because if 9 times out of 10, I mean, and I'm no expert and I don't have the stats in front of me, but going off of memory and as far as being in the crime niche, from my understanding, 9 times out of 10, when kids go missing, it's usually somebody who they know. So it's usually somebody local. So, and if it's somebody that they know, where it's a kidnapping in a family court case, they're kidnapped and then taken out of state by a family member. But usually when it's just like a child predator, they're not that sophisticated where they're trying to traffic the kids out of the country like they try to portray in politics. They want their
but
jollies
they'll
off
take
of
them out of state in a heartbeat.
Oh, if they can get away with it. But most kids that are kidnapped, or most people that are, you know what I mean, unless there's a drug situation or it is a family member, they struggle. They'll fight, you know what I mean? But like Arctic Fox is saying, is these kids are being groomed. So they're like, hey, you want some candy, come to my house type shit. And so these parents are going over there. So that's why I'm having a hard time with it all the way around, because law enforcement, and it's like when you deal with auditors, it's like you talk to law enforcement and some of them know the rights of the people, but a majority of cops don't even know what the fuck they're doing with their own job. They're just waiting on a supervisor to tell them what to do. They're just a fucking badge. They're just a badge and a gun. They don't know their job. They just were short staffed. That person just happened to not be on drugs and happened to be in shape. And he passed the physical, so they made him a cop. They were like, well, you'll figure it out as you go. You'll learn as you go. But these cops that are like in their first, second year, It's not like they go through a college requisition course to learn to be a cop.
Red Bull has got to go. I appreciate you, Norman, as always, having me on your panel. I appreciate you doing this for Arctic. He definitely needs more recognition, more subs. He's amazing. So you guys go subscribe. I share, all the time his videos. So if you see him, just give him a like. Go to his channel, give him a like, and I will see you guys later.
That's what's up. I'm
Yeah,
gonna tap out myself. Arctic, is there anything that you wanted to close with?
Well, I'm going to have to drop too. I've got a doctor's appointment to get to, but yeah, like Red Bull said, just share the stuff out. It takes 1 second out of your day, and it can make all the difference in the world. And whether we find the kids safe or not, like I said, we don't know where they may be, especially in runaway cases. Those kids are crafty, and it doesn't take them long to get pretty far in a lot of these cases. So share everything out.
And look for more collabs, because I like how Norman's getting involved with this. I definitely feel a lot more could happen, so we really appreciate you, Norman. And yeah, y'all have a good one. Bye.
Take care.
With you guys later.
Bye.